Did you come to Germany and now you're struggling with Germans not actually talking to you in German because they're like switching to English whenever? Yeah, here are some tips for you, alright? So you obviously want them to speak German with you, but maybe your German is not as good yet. So what can you do? First of all, you can always try and just answer back in German. Because for us, if somebody speaks really bad German, it's just a force of habit that we fall into speaking English. My level of English is pretty normal for a German. So you can try and just answer to them in German to the best of your abilities and just do that until they give up. But just know it will be a little bit annoying, especially if your German is not that good. In my opinion, you should just keep working on that until it is, and then they will answer in German. I have friends that are like between levels B and C, and they struggle with German grammar, but I can understand them just fine. Which is why I will talk to them in German up to the point where they don't understand me anymore. But before a certain level of German, it's really, really annoying. And I mean, that goes for every language, but it's just really annoying to talk to someone who does not understand what you are saying. Especially if you are in a setting where there are, let's say, 5 different people or more, like you come to a party and then, everybody has to translate for you. Of course, people will speak to each other, and to you they will only speak in English probably. However, I believe that most will still try if you just ask them and you keep answering in German, so that they see that you clearly want to do this. And you have to get over yourself, because it is cringe. You probably sound completely stupid. I know I sound stupid in Swedish and in French probably. I know that. I don't know, get drunk or don't get drunk, this is YouTube. Totally get drunk. And then it's not that difficult anymore, right? Language fun. Another thing that I found helpful when learning other languages than English was to tell people that I understand more than I can say, and that they should not be afraid that I wouldn't understand, and to ask them to answer to me in a foreign language, but I would get back to them in usually English. And I would just point out very directly that this helps me, I want to develop my language skills, it's really useful to me. And I would do that in situations where I was alone with one person and it wouldn't be a big obstacle. And I would also not do that for an hour or so, but maybe for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Just not super long, because it's still annoying, and they're not your language buddy and they're not your language teachers. Even though they're your friends, you don't ask your friends to help you out with something you usually pay other people for every day. Like, that's not friendship, that's exploitation. And it's really not fun to help another person with their language barrier problems, especially if you're not a teacher and both speak another language and you just want to hang out. You don't want to teach somebody a language. I mean, I wouldn't be offended by it, but usually those meetings when I meet people and then I teach them my language, after that I always feel like, did we talk about anything? And it's a little bit sad. Then I also think it can be helpful to just ask for certain words, translations, idioms, stuff that you actually would want to say in the situation. Like, let's say you're cooking together and you want to know what the Kochlöffel means. What is this wooden spoon called? A Holzlöffel. So you ask that, and you will get an answer that you can associate with something you're doing. It's not overwhelming, it's not a whole sentence. And so you can try and remember these things. Another thing that you can ask your friends to help you with that is not too annoying, but it will still help you practice, especially your pronunciation, is you can bring flashcards. Don't bring some stupid app. I mean, I really like Babbel, and I think it's a good app to learn languages. But don't bring some fucking app. Do real flashcards. The Japanese ones are really cool. You can buy them at Muji. I love those cards because you can flip them. They're on a little ring. Let me show you. See? Those are really cool. I'm learning Chinese with these. What is on there? Sun, year, March, year, this moon, month, ni hao. Yeah. I'm not super good at Chinese, but I think it's a fun language to learn. It's so much easier than German. I mean, probably I just think that because I've just started learning it, but I do think that grammatically it's not as hard as German. So you're Chinese and you're learning German, I feel you. I mean, I don't, because your language is not that hard, but your pronunciation is very hard. But you can bring flashcards like these, and then you can ask your friend to help you maybe go to 20, 30 words and, help you with explanations and putting them into context. Putting stuff into context with language learning is very important, because the more context you have, the more associations you can make in your brain, the better you will learn those vocabulary. What is the singular of vocabulary? Like, vocabulary is a generic term, like literature. You cannot say one literature, that's one book, one piece of literature. It's not one piece of vocabulary. One vocab? That sounds stupid. See, nobody's perfect, and I'm not trying to be, and neither should you, because perfection is bullshit. But you can become really good at German, especially if you practice German with your German friends. Anyway, what I used to do was to just bring those everywhere, and whenever I met someone, for a coffee, we would do that in the beginning, and then it's done. And it's not like the whole time you're asking, oh, what is this in German? What is that in German? Can you help with my German? That's annoying. Don't do that. But you do this together, you benefit. They have a little bit of fun teaching you something, maybe if that is something they like. And then you're done with that, you can have your coffee and actually focus on meeting your friend and not picking their brain for 2 hours to learn about the language that you should learn about instead of watching Netflix. Oh, and then I forgot something that I wanted to add to the idea of telling your friends that you understand more than you can say. So your passive vocabulary is bigger than your active vocabulary. Often it also helps to say, you know what? I understand between 70 and 90% if you talk slowly. Or I can watch a German movie if I have the subtitles. I understand 70% of it. If you're at that level, you should definitely be speaking with a native speaker. 60, 50%, I don't know. Like, in my opinion, you should feel like you understand between 60 and 70%. 70 plus is optimal of a sentence, because otherwise you just can't comprehend the message. And if you have to think about the sentence every single time, it just doesn't make sense to speak the language yet. You will get there, but it doesn't make sense yet. You have to practice more with your books, with your app, with your flashcards, with yourself thinking about the language, immersing yourself into the language, listening to the radio just to get used to sound of it. That does help a little bit, not as much as some people think it does, but it does help a little bit. So yeah, those are my tips. End of video.